Good morning, beautiful people. So, later on this week, on Wednesday specifically, we will celebrate the birthday of one of our greatest ancestors, Malcolm X, but I like to refer to him as his um, name that he was using right before he died, which was El-hajj Malik El-shabazz. Um, I just want to give you a quick overview of what he meant to me. So he was born on May 19th, that'll be Wednesday of this week, in 1925, in Omaha, Nebraska, which is actually where I reside. And even though I guess you could say I followed Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. more closely, I have a great respect for Mr. Shabazz and what he stood for. Um, Unfortunately, many of the things that he was fighting for back then, we are still, in a sense, fighting for now. Um, and if you haven't seen the movie Malcolm X, directed by Spike Lee, I really suggest that you see it. It is also starring Mr. Denzel Washington, America's greatest actor, in my opinion. Now, what I will say about that film is that there are many inaccuracies. I would also suggest reading the autobiography of Malcolm X. And if you really want an in-depth understanding of Black history, period, within this country and outside of this country, I suggest you check out a show on YouTube that's actually a class, and it's called In Class with Dr. Greg Carr, and it's hosted by Professor Karen Hunter. I'm telling you, you will learn the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But getting back to Mr. Shabazz, I'm sure you all know the brief history, the overview of him. He was seen as a radical, was born Malcolm Little. Father was murdered, I do believe, when he was very young. Mother then had to take on the raising of him and his siblings, and so he, I guess, had a troubled past, ended up, even though I don't like using that term, I think it just diminishes that person every time you use it, referring to a Black person, period, because that is not even a part of who they will ultimately become if they have a checkered past. And we often know we're put in those situations systemically by the system anyway. So I don't like to use that term. But did go to prison, converted to Islam while he was there. This is just a brief history. And subsequently joined the Nation of Islam whose leader was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, um, converted to Islam, was given the name Malcolm X. Uh, Later, towards the end of his life, left the Nation of Islam, started his own organization, took his pilgrimage to Mecca, and really had a different view of what his faith meant to him as far as the interdynamic between him and other people. But a lot of the stuff that he believed while he was in the Nation of Islam uh, never subsided fully, because a lot of it was true and still is true as far as the system not working for black people the way that it works for our white brothers and sisters. And that is just the facts. That's the way I see things. If you want to call me paranoid, if you want to call me a radical, if you want to say that that's not true, that is an opinion, but I suggest you do your research, because there's been over 400 years of oppressive behavior, over 400 years of oppressive behavior to the black person and the black individual in this country. And I don't see how you could see it any other way. But if you have another opinion, just do some research. And anyway, but I wanted to give Mr. Shabazz and his brilliant wife, Dr. Betty Shabazz, the credit they deserved for being a part of revolutionary thought and opinion in this country, and really shaping or helping to shape the movement for black equality within this country, if it can ever be achieved, which that is a question that is still up for debate. He signified a man who never went to college, never got past a certain point in school, but still had a lot of knowledge, a voice and opinion that, though you may not agree with it, you couldn't deny that he had a level of intelligence that was beyond the scope of what you were supposed to have, let alone speak out with confidence and alacrity at that time. And so he was a threat to the establishment of this country. And that made a lot of people scared. He was subsequently killed. There is a documentary on Netflix that you can watch. I've watched it. Very interesting. But I have a great affinity, a great respect, a great great somewhat nuanced vision of his teachings. I do consider myself a pacifist. I follow more along the lines of the teachings of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but I also love, respect, and know that I would not be who I am were it not for Brother Shabazz. I just want to thank him, want to thank his wife, want to thank their whole family for continuing to uplift his legacy. I know as a black individual, myself, as a disabled black individual, myself, I often feel marginalized in two different ways within this country. And being black and disabled has its own different and disparate struggles in and of themselves, as far as the establishment of this country taking you seriously, taking your intelligentsia seriously, taking the way that you believe and know what you know about your people seriously. And so I fight that struggle every day, and I do it because I know that the ancestors that are above in the universe, I don't use the term God, but in the universe as illuminated by everything that has been created, whether by man or by a spiritual figure, whatever you believe, and we won't get into that discussion because I have my own opinions of that. But I do believe everything is illuminated in and of itself for the good. And so I believe that Brother Shabazz, Ancestor Shabazz, both of them brought amazing light and attention to the plight of black people, not only in this country, but around the world. And they were truth, they lived their truth, they wanted to help their people get to a different plane within this country, and I have nothing but respect for that. So I just want to say to Ancestor Shabazz, both of them, thank you for the work that you did. Thank you for the children that you cultivated. Thank you for what you taught them. Thank you for letting them continue your legacy as they wish to tell it. I wish them nothing but peace and blessings, and happy birthday, Ancestor Shabazz. Thank you for everything that you did, everything that you still illuminate today, everything that still rings true. Some would say unfortunately so, but thank you for illuminating what is a very real plight and a very real concern in this country. I believe that you and your lovely wife and your entire family live your truth unabashedly so, and I can't say anything but thank you, Ancestor Shabazz, both of you. Thank you, Ancestors Shabazz, for the work that you continue to illuminate from another plane within the universe's constellation. Thank you, and Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much.